Old v new, damn.
Old v new.
So my old MB 2018, 718s.
Yeah.
They were actually 2017, I think, weren't they? But anyway, against the T100, which is my new set of irons. Should we see why I've changed, what the difference is, if any? I'm going to start hitting some with the T100. We'll talk about why I've gone from blade to non-blade and what I've done to this to make it perform like that. So I'm going to go T100 6 iron, kick me off. This is my 6 iron that I've started playing with, T100.
So, a little bit of a surprise to me when I spotted these in the bag. Because
I'm pretty bladey and have been for a while, haven't I?
Absolutely. Do like your blades.
Yeah, I do as well. Oh, that's enough.
But as you get a bit older, you could do with a little bit more help, maybe?
Well, let's see and what difference that makes. But I have butchered these. I think it's more of a shape thing almost for me. So I think I'm playing into the idea of what you just said there. Like I'm looking for something that might not be there, but I'm happy for it to speak to me in that way when I'm over a shot.
Yeah.
Right, one more with T100. I mean, there was a few funny strikes in there, but plenty of gameable ones. So I'm peak heighting at 30 yards.
Yep.
I'm spinning at 5.8, but look at my miss hit in there, it's hilarious. I spun it down at 2.7. This is mat golf. And I don't mean Matt Lockie golf, I mean hitting balls from a mat. I think it's so... basically, you just get such variations on mats, and they're closer to semi-rough, really, than they are than fairways, subject to how you hit it. So if you're someone who catches it a little bit clean and a bit toppy sometimes, you'll prefer the semi-rough line, probably do better in this state. But for me, someone who's hitting down, I get under a few and it hits the top of the club like I would never get off a fairway, which is that one. I mean, that's 2.7 spin there. I mean, I reckon I'd struggle to recreate that outside.
Yeah.
And look how it dipped out the air, just didn't stay up in the air.
You'd have to get a lot of grass between club face and ball to get that sort of shot.
And to get that high on it.
Yeah.
And to get that high on it. So if you take that one away, I don't want to know what that one is about. I know what that's about, the conditions. I'm 6.4 with my 6 iron. Quite an interesting spin number. Slightly high for me.
I was going to say that's quite high.
Peaking height now at 32 because we're taking out at 22, and then it's averaging 163. Topping out here, you can see I started getting a little warmer near the end. So I would hit I'm a 175 6 iron, 180 at max. So 167 is going to go to 172 once it's stopped.
Yeah.
So if I want to do it really hard, I might carry it 172, getting it closer to 180. So I'm happy with those numbers. Like, that's where I want my 6 iron to sit. So let's go to my MB in the 718s. So I would expect these numbers to take off from where those numbers were ending.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's always in a series of shots. Even it's not that I'm not warm. It's just when you start hitting a different club, you like always build up to a crescendo a little bit. It's quite interesting how that must react and reflect out on a golf course. You know, people starting slow and all those kind of things. So what's interesting, I've gamed my other irons now for about 4 rounds of golf, maybe 5 rounds of golf, and this is now starting to look really thin. It's so interesting, it's relative to what you're used to.
Yeah.
This is now looking like, cool, that is thin, isn't it? Well, obviously I knew it was thin because it was a blade, but I would never have looked down at it and had any worry.
So what have you done?
To the irons?
Yeah.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a second.
Get some numbers and then we'll catch up about that.
I like what I've done. It's funny, and it's certainly funny for someone who's reviewed clubs for so long. And see some of the conversations that go on about this, that, and the other, and performance, those kind of ideas.
Great custom fitting, though. Yeah. That's what I'm interested to see the numbers on these.
Yeah, let's see the numbers, and then we'll tell you what I've done. Pretty equivalent hits in there. Let's have a look at those numbers. So MB at the top here, 165, because it was a better group of strikes. Got my 171 in there, my longest. That's my 175 6-iron kind of shot. Not going quite as high. 30 yards peak height to 32.
Yeah.
165 to 163. So strike accordance, like you could get them similar if you take out the early ones. That sort of 156 I've taken out, which was my first hit. You get them exactly the same, but a little bit more height still with T100 6-iron. I'm going to put that one back in. 6-1 spin to 6-4. So the blade is spinning a fraction less than the T100. Anyone watching this video first time, or any of my other reviews on Titleist side, the T100 spins a little bit less than this. It spins a little bit less than this, but I flipped I flipped that with what I've done in the fitting. And then T100 launching 18.2 to 17, so constantly, we've done this with a lot of clubs actually today, just to look at numbers, it's always a degree higher in launch, and it always peak heights a little bit more, but I sustain the distance. Yeah. So I'm really happy with where T100 is there for me, and what I've done, so when I first tested T100, it was spinning around 300, 500 less than my MB.
Was it? Okay.
Which is kind of what it's designed and should really do.
Yeah.
I love the look of the T100. I love the fact the offset was next to nothing, because my MBs have always had a bit of offset. They were quite famous for being blades with offset. Rumour has it that Adam Scott likes offsets. They were putting it in there. I like the fractionally chunkier design, but still very slender in T100.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't obviously test this because they didn't have a different loft, but all I did is checked out, I said to them, what are the lofts? And basically the difference in the lofts between the two clubs was 1 degree. So I said, look, I want to go T100. I like the blend from my chunky 6-iron to this. It's not as brutal as going a complete butter knife to a really chunky 6-iron, because I use T300 6-iron, so I've got the chunkiest 6-iron for anyone who doesn't know. So I blend, don't go from mega chunky to blade, I now go from mega chunky to slender. So I got them to bend the lofts to the same. So in effect they added 1 degree of lofts to all my T100. So I got the T100 in effect to perform exactly the same, to slightly higher with a bit more spin than these, which I'm really happy with. I'm not the highest ball flighter in the world. 6-iron over water, trying to get it to stop, is never going to be my skill, so I'm happy to try and get it up there, but I still want to sustain some spin. So I've matched the lofts, obviously with the slightly different weighting and barring in T100, it's helping me that fraction more, to feel more confident over lesser lofted clubs. And then when you get down to 8 and 9 irons, there's no difference, which I wouldn't want to see. I want to see those hitting the exact number. So really all I've done is gone with a club I love the look of, feel of, and then I've made it do what I want it to do, which is like you were saying earlier, that's the beauty of custom fitting for me.
The other thing is what you've done there with that T100 is by adding the loft, you've actually taken the offset out of it a little bit more.
Yeah, and so we can see that. We've been comparing it up to the
sort of demo ones that they've sent over.
In the standard lofts, and this has a fraction less offset, and I love that.
Yeah, I do. I think it's a great way of doing it.
Yeah.
It's interesting how your spin is slightly more out of this now compared to what you were getting out of this one.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I can sort of suggest from that is that as you've added a fraction more loft, you may have just fractionally added some more bounce onto the club, which has maybe just lifted that front edge a fraction.
Making strike a fraction lower, possibly?
Possibly, that's the only sort of answer, because they're the same lofts, but how do you get that spin to just drop or pick up a little bit more is just by maybe moving that strike fractionally lower in the face. That's the only answer I can kind of bring from this.
And we could do more tests. I mean, I might be delivering a slightly different dynamic loft between the two as well.
Yeah.
More weight slightly off the face to this compared to the blade, which might be encouraging me to maybe add a fraction loft at delivery. I actually don't, we can do that test with video.
Yeah.
I kind of don't care what it is because I'm happy with all the numbers. So I don't need to, I can understand it more for coaching, but for me, like if I was a player like a European Tour player, you can see why they don't care. Yeah, that hits the window I want, does what I want. I don't care what you've done. I'm going going to practice. I want to use those clubs. The other interesting factor for me with this, with fitting, is that some people would be getting bogged down and going for this, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
To try and find those numbers. Yeah. And I've said this for years between friends, because I like to watch the internet talk rubbish to itself sometimes, because it just makes me giggle, and it kind of proves sometimes how much bad information there is out there. When I see someone saying, oh, I get this spin with that shaft and this one's loads better and I can't use that shaft, this shaft, more like, or do all the shaft oil talk. I just think if I gave you 1 degree less or 1 degree more loft on that club, changeable necks, we could change that spin without you doing any difference.
Away, yeah.
You wouldn't need to go down this mythical feel thing that you do with your shaft. So you could argue, but you could have, some people would have been looking at those numbers, let's try this shaft, let's try that shaft. I just changed the loft. I didn't even try them because they can't change the loft in the fit.
No,
we looked at the numbers, I just did the calculations as a fitter in my head and said, right, that's great, I love it. I just want a fraction, if I can squeeze a bit more height and a bit more loft, a bit more height, a bit more spin, what's the loft on the two? He told me, and I said, well, let's smash the lofts up.
Yeah.
And literally, this is the first time I've tested this, apart from hitting some 8 irons earlier, to see how they come out.
Yeah.
There you go.
I like it.
T100.
I really like it.
I am 9 iron to 6 iron.
Yes.
That is a senior bag.